Hi, I'm Dave DeWitt, and today I want to make a few comments on an idea I've heard a lot lately. The idea I've heard is that love makes us vulnerable. Here's an example. On July 1, 2019, Bud Brown, president and co-founder of Turnaround Pastors, wrote an article called Hurt by Those Who Are Close. Here's some of what he said, quote, "It's those who are close to whom we have entrusted our hearts, who devastate us with betrayal. The danger of betrayal is inherent in the nature of love. When we love others, we lower our defenses. We allow them in past our emotional barriers designed to protect our frail hearts. We trust them with our most vulnerable selves. When you're betrayed, you face a difficulty that's a painful choice. Either deal with the pain of betrayal and learn to trust again, or condemn yourself to a life of loneliness and hopeless anguish." Well, after I read that, I wrote down, wow, love sounds like a really bad idea. If loving somebody becomes vulnerable, I open myself to being betrayed, in which case I'm faced with two really tough options. Number one, deal with the pain of betrayal and learn to trust again. Or number two, condemn myself to a life of loneliness and hopeless anguish. Well, the first option sounds better, and that's the point of Mr. Brown's article, I guess. But when you're betrayed, you should deal with the pain of betrayal and learn to trust once again, although he doesn't tell us how to do that. But that means if I love someone, at best I face the possibility of dealing somehow with the pain and learning somehow to trust based on no assurance or even good evidence that I'll not be in the same place again. Sounds like love is a hazardous venture. Or there's another possibility. Maybe he has the wrong idea about love. There are several kinds of love mentioned in the Bible. There's at least romantic love, friendship love, and loyal love. But in every case, the act of loving is always an act of giving. Therefore, I suggest there is nothing in loving that makes us vulnerable. It's not love that makes us vulnerable. It's the desire to be loved that makes us vulnerable. Paul defined love this way: love is patient, love is kind, and is not jealous. Love does not brag and is not arrogant, does not act unbecomingly, does not seek its own, is not provoked, does not take into account a wrong suffer, does not rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things, from 1 Corinthians 13:4-7. What part of being kind to someone and not jealous makes me vulnerable? What part of not bragging, not being arrogant, nor acting unbecomingly leads to a danger of betrayal? How does not being provoked and not taking into account a wrong suffered affect my emotional barriers? How does rejoicing in the truth or faith and hope in the context of one who endures all things lower our defenses? More likely it's when I want the one I love to be kind to me, not jealous of me, not provoked by me, and not take into account the wrong suffered that they suffered from me. That's what makes me vulnerable. It's when I want affection, attention, appreciation that I become vulnerable. Biblical love is all about giving without expecting reciprocity. Expecting something in return is swapping, not giving. Love focuses on the better good of the one loved. Love is us obeying God's directive for relating to others, not wondering what I'm going to get out of it. Let's look at what Jesus said about this, recorded in Luke 6:31 to 35. To treat others the same way you want them to treat you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that for you? Even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? Even the sinners do the same. But if you lend to those from whom you expect to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to the sinners in order to receive back from them the same amount. But love your enemies, do good and lend, expecting nothing in return, and your reward will be great, and you'll be sons of the Most High, for he himself is kind to ungrateful and evil men. That was Luke 6:31 to 35. How do we love our enemies? How do we love those who do evil to us? Jesus' answer is, give to them expecting nothing good in return from your enemies. You love them defined by doing good to them, expecting your reward to be great from God. I've also made an observation, which those of you who've heard me before probably heard this before, but I'd like to pass it along. The greatest giver is the greatest leader in every situation. No matter what room you're in or what group you're in, the leader is always the greatest giver. It doesn't matter who has the official titles or the officers or official positions. It'll soon be clear who's leading the group. The greatest giver might be the one giving the most money, but usually it becomes the one with the most knowledge or experience or wisdom about the focus of the group. Jesus is the head of the church because he's the greatest giver. The apostles led the church wherever they were located because they had the most to give and expecting nothing in return this side of heaven. The reason for the almost magical secret of fellowship of the first century church is their love for one another, defined as giving without the expectation of reciprocity this side of heaven. Love looks for its return from God in heaven. That's why we can also love our enemies. My conclusion, I suggest we are only hurt by those who are close when we turn love into a desire to be loved. Well, thanks for listening to this short podcast. My brief paper on the subject is available on our website, relationalconcepts.org.